Journey Museum visitors, thank you for joining us. My name is Casey. I'm part of the education team here at the Journey Museum and Learning Center. Today I've got a science experiment for you guys. It's called Giving Celery Color. Now, this is really good for younger audience to help them understand how plants get their energy, get their food. But it's really kind of a cool experiment, really for anybody. So I encourage you to try it at home with us. Well, let's get started. First of all, we've got 4 glass jars. Each are filled with about 8 ounces of water. And then we have food coloring for each of the jars. And of course, the main ingredient here, celery. We got fresh celery stalks with the leaves, preferably with the leaves, just so it'll show up a little bit better in your experiment, trust me. You're gonna want to pull the lighter colored, the leafier ones. They're mainly in the center of the stalk, so definitely use those ones during the experiment. So yeah, we're going to find out how plants absorb water and grow. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna separate all those celery stalks out, and we'll cut about a 1/4 inch off the bottom so we can see the nice veins of the celery through there. And then, so like I said, we're gonna have 8 ounces of water in the jar, and we'll put about 3 to 4 drops of food coloring into the jar. All right, so we've got black, we've got blue, ooh, that is dark already. And get the lid off, there we go. We've got kind of a yellowish and orange. And just for fun, we've got green too. Let's see what that one does. All right, awesome. So we got all the food coloring in the jars. So now we're gonna put 1 stalk in each jar. Just kind of mix the water up with the stalk here. Just kind of allow that food coloring to be dispersed evenly throughout the jar. So what I want you guys really to think about or do is make observations or predictions, what you think will happen to the celery here. Remember, the celery is going to suck up that water. You think it's going to turn a different color? You might be surprised. All right, so we're gonna let these sit overnight actually. It's usually 24 hours. You can even do 36-hour wait time. And so we'll do a follow-up video and see what changed.
24 hours later.
This is part 2 of our celery coloring experiment. We'll walk you through kind of what we did here. We put a celery stalk in each of these jars filled with watercoloring, different watercolors. And we wanted to see what happened. We wanted to see how plants absorb their nutrients. And this is a prime example of that. If you did the experiment at home, thank you. And I guess my question is, were these the results that you were expecting? We kind of look at each of the plants here. In this black dye, The leaves definitely became a little wilted. You can see some of that black coloring in the leaves itself. So that's kind of neat. Especially right over here. It's got kind of a darker overall tint to the leaves as well. For the blue, pretty much the same thing here. We see a little bit of that blue kind of shading right in the leaves. For the yellow, you could probably at least tell the difference right away between the yellow and any of the other colors. It's definitely the lighter kind of stock compared to all the other ones. And once again, in the leaves, definitely the brightest out of all of them. And just for fun, we also used the green coloring, and we made it even more greener. So the leaves, some of them got a little more dark than probably what I was expecting even, but you can kind of see the streaks of green right through the leaves there. Alright, and you maybe have noticed too that some of the water from at least the first video has also gone down. So where did all that water go? Well, we just witnessed it. It went all the way up through the stalks, mainly to the leaves here. But the really cool part, kind of the interesting thing here, is that as we see it a lot more in the leaves, they also went right through the stalks, right? So if we look at the very ends of these, you could cut this stalk anywhere in it, and you'll see the little black stems that the water was transported through. So plants absorb the water through their roots through a process called transpiration. Oh, it's really vibrant on the blue one here. That's really cool. So the water travels up those tubes that we're seeing in the stems to all parts of the plant. And it's actually used during photosynthesis to make food for the plant. So when the food coloring is added to the water, it travels into the, it travels with the water into the stem and then up into the leaves. So plants also absorb nutrients from the soil through the roots and up through the phloem in the plant's stems. So this food coloring really illustrates how nutrients are delivered to all parts of the plant. All right, well, if you guys want to keep them marinating even for another 12 to 24 hours, I would definitely recommend it. Otherwise, thank you for joining us.